retake the stage in a special Saturday night episode of Friday Night Frisbee. Next. Well, we got a rivalry matchup tonight here in North Carolina. The Atlanta Hustle and the Carolina Flyers meet for the second time in as many weeks, coming off last weekend's unbelievable double overtime finish. And it is so great to welcome you to Friday Night Frisbee on a Saturday. Evan Lepler alongside Miranda, Roth, Knowles. And look, these two teams, there's no lack of familiarity. There's no love lost. There's a lot of respect, and we expect today's game to be different style-wise because of the different players, but another great chapter of this rivalry is on tap.
For sure. I can't wait to see what adjustments coaches and players make after last week's totally awesome game in Atlanta. We're here in North Carolina. The weather is great, and the ultimate will be too. Well,
the weather's great. It's cloudy and like low 60s. It doesn't feel like Memorial Day weekend, but ultimate players are A-OK with that, and we got some great players to showcase tonight. Jacob Fairfax did everything but win the game last week. He is an unstoppable force late in quarters, Miranda, and just can put this team on his back literally, figuratively, every way.
For sure. He puts everybody on his back, his own teammates and the opponents when they're trying to go up against him. You said that he was the best player probably on that field last week in Atlanta. He's the best player on pretty much any field he steps on. And he got to showcase not only his excellence in the air, but also his throws. I wonder sometimes if he is best played to push him into becoming a thrower or a receiver, and I just don't know.
And last Saturday felt like a transformational game for Hayden Austin Knabb. Fairfax-esque in the end zone, and obviously his late game heroics were unforgettable.
His effort has just skyrocketed. I think he is feeling like he's able to play a lot more freely. It feels like a weight is taken off his shoulders, and we'll get to see him play some free-flowing ultimate tonight.
Overcast conditions, Carolina without Alan LaViolette. Kevin Pignoni is also absent. Jacob Fairfax is here, and he's shooting it deep, and it's Dean Ramsey getting the game's first block less than 20 seconds in.
Not exactly the matchup you'd want to throw to, especially early in the game. Fairfax is a great thrower, but that one did not connect, and the much taller Ramsey got in the way of that play.
So an opportunity here for the Hustle. Of course, Carolina last week had so many opportunities to win the game, could not do it. They felt like they were the better team. They were hopeful to prove that tonight. Kenny Taylor going deep, and he'll come up empty.
You see a new connection there, Steele Davies to Kenny Taylor, not used to playing with each other too much. But that's something that they'll learn from. Kenny will look for that deep throw next time.
So Trevor Lynch shifting over to offense as well, along with Elijah Long, Grayson Sanner. Here's Fairfax in the middle, guarded by the veteran Jeremy Langdon. Langdon played more deep points last week for the Hustle than 0 points for the first time since 2023. Another Carolina deep shot and a leaping lefty snag from Grayson Sanner.
Really nice read on that, and way to go up and high point it with the left hand, even with help coming. Kenny Taylor and Lucas McClamrock trying to get underneath that play, but they just can't quite catch up to it. There's Dean's block on the first deep throw. You know, if we see so many deep shots in every single point, this is going to be a really exciting game. I think we're 3 away passes at least, maybe Hucks. Sanner finally making the play to catch the last one from Lynch.
Nice grab from Grayson, the UNC Wilmington product. And just over 90 seconds in, Carolina converts the dirty hold. As you see the O-line talking about it, Michael Avila, the head coach, Noah Crumey is the assistant. That helps to organize the offense. Mark Poole is the offensive coordinator for the Hustle. Under Tuba Benson Jaja, the third ever head coach in Atlanta Hustle history. Of course, the second Hustle coach is standing next to me here in the broadcast booth.
I was happy to turn the reins over to Tuba. He was an awesome assistant coach to me for 1 year and let me stay on as an assistant to him for a year. And we got to see so many of these double teams, and it's always hard to get out of them. And a little bit of a rush on the counterattack from Carolina.
Yeah, sloppy start from both sides. These are two teams that frequently have single-digit turnover games. We might be double-digit turns by the end of the quarter at this rate.
It is exciting, but it's not the kind of ultimate I would like to see tonight, personally.
Austin Taylor as smooth and sharp and poised of an O-line center handler to quarterback an offense as anybody is in the league right now. Get to Carl Eckwurzel downfield. Here's Hayden Austin Knabb, who had the game-saving block and the game-winning assist last Saturday in Atlanta, working with Ryan Flick now. The young handler out of Georgia, back to Hayden Austin Knabb. Couple former Georgia Bulldogs, and now Flick shoots it to the end zone, and it's Carl Eckwurzel. So a dirty hold for Carolina, a dirty hold for Atlanta. Both teams over on the break chances so far, and even through 3 minutes.
Right, you see here the struggle to get out of that opportunistic double team, and then just too much of a rush on the counterattack. Here, what I really like to see before that last pass is the Hustle handlers doing a great job balancing each other out. You saw Austin Taylor fight for a really great upline cut that draws a lot of attention, and we get the break off of the sideline, and things just feel so much more balanced when you get that disc off the sideline into the middle. You have so many more options, and Flick is able to find Eckwurzel in the end zone.
And who's this guy? Oh, that's Max Shepard. After a decade with Pittsburgh and 1 season with New York, he signed with the Atlanta Hustle in the offseason. Excited about this opportunity. Playing D-line tonight, as he has for Atlanta so far this season.
Shepard, a wonderful addition to any team, both from a cultural standpoint and on the field.
That was ruled down. No, it was a foul. Contact on the throw, going back to Elijah Long. The reach there from Atlanta's rookie Steele Davies.
Yeah, I think there was contact on the reception, and the ref just got fed up with it when it was on the mark too.
Sander with a goal and an assist. You could say the same for Trevor Lynch. First clean hold of the day.
Yeah, this is some very nice offense as well, getting the disc again to the middle, and just a beautiful continuation. You do like to see how Shepard is feeling free to come and pressure that pass from downfield defense. So that's going to be exciting. Carolina's offense is going to really have to work to attack those poaches from the Atlanta end zone defense throughout the night.
So the South Division is a fascinating landscape right now. You got 4 teams that really have the look. These two, the Austin Soul, who are currently atop the division, undefeated. And then obviously San Diego, whom Carolina beat on opening day, but the Hustle lost 2 by 1 in a really close competitive game a couple of weeks ago. Hard to believe this is Atlanta's 5th road game of their season tonight, which means they got a lot of home games left. But with only 3 South Division teams making the playoffs, there's early urgency for Atlanta, even though they're just at the midway point of the season after tonight. 12-game regular season, top 3 in the South make it to the postseason on this road to championship weekend. Nice find to a wide-open Andrew Ty, who has not been a mainstay for the Hustle since he joined the team, Miranda, in 2022, but the Hustle putting a lot of trust in him last weekend, this week on the O-line in critical moments.
For sure. Andrew Ty has made a big impression on the Atlanta Open scene. He started off on the D-line and has been working so hard every offseason to train himself up into a really strong thrower, excellent certain receiver, and he belongs on this O-line for sure.
Austin Taylor didn't really have a mark, creating a stall, but he slices it downfield for Austin Knabb. Again, no Brett Holzmeyer tonight, no Adam Miller, but no problem this possession for the Atlanta Hustle. Andrew Ty in the end zone for just the 7th goal of his career. He's been in the league for half a decade, but tonight's just his 14th game active for the Hustle.
And you see there, Alec Wilson-Holiday does a great job drawing defense to the back of the end zone to leave the front cone open for Ty cutting from the front. Something we like to say in Atlanta is from the back to the back and from the front to the front, and that's what it should look like. So that was really beautiful offense by Atlanta's O-line.
Did you coin that, from the back to the back, from the front to the front?
You know, I tried to make things as simple as possible so that these guys don't have to think too much when they're out there, because they are running all over this giant field, and sometimes it's just something you can yell out to remind them. From the front to the front. And then you get a nice goal like that, it feels really rewarding. I probably did coin that.
Dean Ramsey launches the pull for Atlanta. 2-2 here in the opening quarter. Saturday edition of Friday Night Frisbee. Week 5 in this UFA journey. Both these teams missing a bunch of key contributors that are currently at Division I College Nationals in Rockford, Illinois. Lots of excitement coming out of Rockford as we speak. And the action continues tomorrow, quarters in the morning, semis in the afternoon and evening, and Memorial Day Monday, Championship Monday on ESPNU. Oh, that could have been a block for Walter Ellard, a Hustle rookie, if he had been alert to it. Not technically a rookie, played one game 2 years ago in a high stall situation, and a crazy catch in the end zone. Grayson Sanders says, "Get off me."
I think you have to be happy if you're the Atlanta defense there, because that was a highly contested reception, a very high skill throw, and also Carolina must feel very good having Elijah Long back on their O-line. There's not many people who can complete that pass. Elijah happens to be one of them.
Question is, did they call a foul on Langdon? I think they did. It's an and one, a new rule this year. So Carolina's going to pull even further forward than they otherwise would. They're 30 yards in front of their end zone instead of 20, and the Hustle O-line is standing at the midway point of their 20-yard end zone.
So I like this rule. You should be punished for committing a foul, even if it's received for a goal. I'm not sure this is the right punishment, though, because we already start so far forward on the pull. It's not as big an advantage as you might like to see. I'm sure they'll still keep workshopping that.
What do you think should be the penalty for a foul on a goal-scoring play?
Maybe you have to start the disc on the sideline. It seems to be things that
sounds like a Miranda thing that you would employ.
Yeah, I definitely.
The defensive coordinator in you conspiring already.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that the players should remain safe, and so if you penalize overly physical play, I think that is good. We're not wearing pads out here, so we may as well keep the players safe when there's too much contact.
Taylor, 9 yards out, could not squeeze it through that tight window. Intercepted by Angelo Olchese, and Will Coffin wants it all. Floating to the end zone. Carolina converts.
But they're not in. Does he realize? It's a good no spike.
I think the fans thought it was a goal. I thought it was a goal too, but
his foot was outside the football 10-yard line.
This is Owen Stout making his UFA debut just finished up his junior year at UNC Asheville. Can he finish off the possession? Here's Suraj Mataraju. And into the end zone, it's a layout grab. Style point still for Owen Stout, his first UFA goal, and it's the first break of the night for the Flyers.
Yeah, here you see another new teammate miscue, Austin Taylor to Grady Richmond. There's a little hesitation, and that's all it takes for an offensive goal to become a block. Beautiful long pass, and he steps on that line right as he's receiving it. Good call by the officials. And then a wonderful catch to finish that play. You see the Atlanta defense really overloading that strong side, leaving a player open on the near sideline, but they don't need it. Suraj Mataraju finds his teammate for the goal.
All smiles for Owen Stout. Michael Avila, the Flyers coach, said that Owen's been flirting with making the Flyers in the past. He was a practice player for the top Triangle Club team. He said he's a great defender. Reminds me of a young Cooper Williams, and that's high praise because the Flyers are very high on the 25-year-old Williams out of NC State. So Austin Taylor, who doesn't throw a whole lot of turns, with the giveaway early that leads to the Carolina break. Austin Nab unable to snag it. It's a block for Christian Bielis, shooting it for Suhas Mataraju, and with a left hand, he hauls it in.
Short field turnover turned into a break almost immediately by Carolina. This one just a little too high for Hayden Austin Nab. Gets a couple fingers on it, but not the whole hand. And then into the end zone from Bielis to Suhas Mataraju.
The younger Mataraju brother. Suraj, 28, Suhas, 25.
They've both made a huge impact on this Flyers team for years, honestly. I remember when Suraj came into the scene, and he's an excellent handler defender, tall stature, puts a lot of pressure on, and Suhas then joining him with maybe even more speed, both very smart. No surprise they're part of that break. A bit of a spooky start for the Atlanta offense. I think they're sitting Austin Taylor for an 0 point, which is almost unheard of for the Hustle offense, even when they have very different personnel as they do this weekend.
And this is Jonathan Sillivant, number 27, making his UFA debut from Huntsville, Alabama. This deep shot hauled in by the 18-year-old Grady Richmond, who's finishing up his senior year of high school at Midtown, and Atlanta with another giveaway as Carolina looks to pour it on here in the first.
You have to wonder if this is converted, if Coach Benson Jaja will take a timeout. Even though here in the UFA you can use them during points from the sideline, sometimes it's still worth it to get your offense back on track after such a shaky start.
Things have been clicking so far for this Carolina D-line. Christian Bielis, confident throw, just off the fingertips of the bidding Brewer.
You know, if Atlanta wins by 1, we might remember this one, because that was so close. Unnecessarily far out in front of the receiver, but he got a hand on it, so that's, to me, a shared turnover.
Alec Wilson-Holiday connects with Ty at midfield. Double teams coming. Ty back for Flick, who goes with a backhand for Sillivant. And here's Hayden Austin Nab, 15 yards away from the closest defender.
That's the thing about the opportunistic double team, is that that does mean that someone's left open. If the other team can find them, then it looks really open.
Richmond is going. Wilson-Holiday sees him, and he's already celebrating even before Grady runs it down.
So this is a huge difference in outcome in the score of this game. I know it's still early. We're still in the first quarter, but if this had been a 3-goal difference, that would have changed some things for Atlanta. I am a little bit concerned to see Hayden with that drop early in the game. He had such an amazing game last week, and he was one of the players to watch as a result for this week. Sometimes that can be a bit cursing, and you see a player really excel one week, everybody's attention is on them, and then it's really hard for them to perform the second game.
Well, I really thought last week was a transformative game for him, and we talked to Mark Poole, the offensive coordinator, earlier this week, and I was wondering if I was just creating that narrative in my head, because that's something I like to do, and he's like, no, I think we're going to remember that Hayden game. It was a different kind of Hayden, physically but also mentally, and they've tried to take some stuff mentally off his plate. Last year, Poole was organizing the defense. Hayden was directly involved with play calling and scouting and organizing the offense, and they've tried to take that strategic responsibility off his plate. You also had the factor of Holzmeyer playing D as Atlanta plays a little D. Taylor poaches in the lane, gets a fingertip on it, creates a turnover. And
Yeah.
Mark Poole thought without Holzmeyer's gravity, it opened up space for Hayden to be more authoritative and aggressive downfield, and that showed in a variety of ways.
For sure. I love Brett, and he's a wonderful player, but he does stand in lanes.
Push pass from Kenny Taylor, the D and the dime, and the score for Steele Davies. Atlanta's first break, and just like that, the Hustle could have been down 6-2. Instead, it's back to a one-goal game with a minute to go in the first, because there's a small subscript in the UFA bylaws that these teams only play bangers.
That's right. We could steal that quote that Mark Poole shared to us, but it was from Kyle Stapleton, that Atlanta does sell tickets.
Yeah, they play wild games. 3 of their first 5 games this year have been decided by 1, including 2 games that went to double overtime.
Now you saw a little bit of a different defensive look there from the Hustle. They had, their 2 handler defenders that were off ball sagging into the lanes, and all 4 downfield defenders backing the cutters. And so you kind of think that they were inviting exactly that pass that Kenny, I don't know if he touched it, but he certainly affected it. We'll see what they come with here on this next deep line.
End of quarter situations loom large in every game, but especially these two. Carolina trying to score before the end of the quarter. Grayson Sanner bobbles it and lost it. And it's intercepted by Trip Crowley, who is right there with him, and Atlanta's got plenty of time, not wanting to wait that long. Bodying in the end zone, it's Belis intercepting. We still got 30 seconds to go in the quarter.
Maybe our clock is off, or else the player's internal clock is a little bit strange, because those sure look like last couple of second shots.
Belis launches another. Coffin double teamed, and it's incomplete. Atlanta with 12 seconds. The clock still ticking, looking to go the other way. To the sideline. St. John's can't come up with it, and this is a gift timeout because the clock stops with it going out of bounds, and St. John's might be hurt. What a wild sequence from 2 teams that are typically among the most poised and possessive in the whole league.
Right. I don't know what we're at with turnovers, but it's too many to count at this point. Definitely, we're almost at more than the entire last game put together, and we're still just at the end of the first quarter. St. John's putting it all on the line there, not able to come up with the disc. I hope he's okay. He is very strong. He's a personal or a physical therapist in his day job, so he knows what's going to be okay and what needs to really be sat out, but hopefully he can take the end of this point and the quarter break to figure it out. Clam rock in.
Braden Morrison with the disc in his hands hammers it over the double team. It's short of the end zone, and it's batted down by Trip Crowley. And his throw was hand blocked, and I'm not sure anybody knows exactly what's going on.
I think there might have been a foul call.
Yeah, they're calling a contact call, which is going to give Atlanta 1 second left. That was some strange movement there from the Flyers. They were just kind of unnecessarily provoking contact in that situation, which stopped the clock.
How do you not have a double team on that?
This would be unbelievable if Atlanta scores. And it'll be intercepted shy of the end zone to keep it a 1-goal lead. Braden Morrison, the D, after an insane 6-turnover point in less than 60 seconds. The point began with 59 seconds left. I can't remember a final minute of a first quarter ever being that wild. Who knows what's in store in the next 3 quarters? Flyers by 1 after 1. Holy cow. Intense times in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. 5-4 Flyers after 1. Carolina built the 5-2 lead, but could not convert. Several chances they had. Third member of our broadcast crew tonight, roaming the sidelines, Daniel Prentice. Daniel, how is it down there, and what was your view for the chaotic final point of that quarter?
Chaotic is the right word, Evan. I heard Flyers coach Mike Avila at the end of the quarter there talking to his players saying, told you guys to be aggressive, did not tell you to throw that stupid fill in the expletive there. So I think maybe a little bit of pressing we're seeing down here. Not sure where that's coming from. Maybe Flyers carrying it over from the frustrations of the loss last week. Curious to see if teams can both reel those turnovers in here in the second quarter.
All right, Daniel, thank you very much. Miranda, what would your message have been? And remember, we're a family show.
Yeah, I think if I were one of the players on the field, I would hope that the tape from that point was lost, honestly, for either team. That wasn't pretty. That's not what anyone wants. I think my messaging, though, to either team would be, okay, let's leave that behind us. This is a new quarter. We're basically on serve. It's time to make new memories.
Each team had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. I mean, both these teams have had full games with just 7 turnovers, and it is not a wild, windy night. There's a slight wind, but nothing too substantial on a night that is not too hot. It's not too cold. The rain seems to be holding off. It's gray and gloomy, but for Ultimate players, this is pretty perfect if it can stay dry.
Yeah, there's no excuses, I think. And so you have to look within yourself and say, I'm better than this. I don't need to drop this disc. I don't need to throw sketchy passes, and try to come up with something new in this second quarter.
Two teams are a combined 3 of 8 on their hucks so far as well. Carolina just 1 for 4. A week ago, the Flyers were fantastic. Taylor with some contact, and there's no whistle, and Austin can't believe it. He's slow to get up, and he should call an injury because he's hobbling back. Tuba Benson-Jaja incensed on the Atlanta sideline.
Yeah, I actually saw one referee put the whistle to their mouth and choose not to call that foul, which is fine. There's contact in this sport. You see, there was a little piece of a hand block on that initial throw, and so it didn't exactly go where Austin thought it was going to be, but it's hard to know if that's a foul or not. Differing opinions from different experiences.
Well, Taylor's going to stay on the field, so that's good news. But for Atlanta, they did not get the call, and they're in danger of being broken here to start this second quarter. The Mataraju brothers, good chemistry. Olchese, the third Mataraju brother.
Crafty throw
Suhas. And Alec Wilson-Holiday trying to slap the Frisbee out of Suhas's hands, called for the violation. And that will allow Suhas Mataraju to center the disc on the goal line.
Surprised not to see a double team from Atlanta here. They often do that in the end zone. But it does seem to be working.
Finally, it's Matt Tucker that gets free for the Carolina score. And a 6-4 lead for the Flyers 2 minutes into the second.
Really confident, zippy backhand from Suhas Mataraju. To Matt Tucker, whom I've appreciated learning about his game. I think he's made a big impact on this team recently. Doing that again tonight. So it does seem like, you know, we're seeing some of the similar strategies from last weekend. We had a rollout double team over here that, while not immediately impactful, eventually had that desired outcome of forcing a turnover to Austin. Carolina up another break. They'll be trying to get another one. Will Coffin, the pride of Western Washington University.
What a day for Western. Knocking the University of North Carolina men out of the championship race before the bracket. It's been well over a decade since that has happened.
Yeah, it's strange times here in North Carolina for the youth teams as well as the college teams, taking a step back on the national scene, but maybe that's good for Atlanta.
Well, certainly Georgia Tech has had a nice weekend. They're battling right now as we speak in the pre-quarters against Pittsburgh, trying to get to the quarterfinals at College Nationals, which will be tomorrow morning in Rockford, Illinois. So many of these guys have played in that tournament in the past, in the deep end of the tournament. And Kenny Taylor absorbs the bump from Dylan Brewer. Take the free 10 yards.
Yeah, I think we may be getting a couple makeup calls here for the excessive contact that wasn't called on the last point. Both Taylors leaning into this.
Eckwertz over the lefty backhand. Austin Taylor stays out there, looking long, and he's got his man, Sean Knoll. Knoll coming to Atlanta last year after a few seasons leading the Salt Lake Shred, and he really fit in well quickly with the hustle.
Well, they play proper ultimate out in Utah. They play really good fundamental offense and hardcore effort defense, so it's no surprise to me that Sean Knoll and soon enough Will Selfridge will fit in nicely to this Atlanta team. Nice to see, too, that Sean Knoll, who is typically behind the disc, could leak downfield and get an away pass. That really keeps the defense on their toes, and then you have to cover everybody in both directions. So that's a plus side for the O-line for the Atlanta.
Curious, in your coaching travels, have you crossed paths with Bryce Merrill, the head coach of the Salt Lake Shred?
Yeah, he and I were both selection assistants for the USA teams that went to compete in the Gold Coast in Australia a couple summers ago, and I respect him a ton as a coach, and his opinions are so valuable for getting these national teams squared away. But he does it all: pro, youth, college, all of it. He's a force.
There are a lot of people that I enjoy talking Frisbee with, and it's a large short list, and you and Bryce are both on that short list. Really fun Frisbee minds.
Well, thanks, Evan. That's good company to be in for sure.
I am fortunate to have access to so many fascinating, thoughtful, quirky people. Terrence Mitchell. This is his first UFA season as a 30-year-old. He started as a teenager, and with tonight, Terrence moves into fourth all-time in UFA history in games played. Tonight is Terrence's 144th game. He had been tied with Matt Stevens, who's now the co-head coach of the New York Empire. Cameron Brock, Kevin Quinlan, and Mike Drost are the only 3 people who have played more games in this league than Terrence Mitchell, who's still very, very fast, even as a 30-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know how many of those games have been against the Atlanta Hustle, but certainly quite a few of them. And every one of them, it's bad news for the Atlanta side when Terrence is out for Carolina.
And Terrence finishes the point beautifully by hauling in his goal. Terrence, 9th in the history of the league with 306 goals in his decade with Carolina.
What a fun role to play. And Terrence is an excellent thrower as well, but he does find himself in the end zone on the receiving end of many Carolina Flyers goals. It will be interesting to see as these players who have played the most games or have the most goals or whatever the top stats are as they start to retire, if they will be overcome by new players. Because all 4 of those top games played, they're still in the game. So we're still really in the first generation of UFA Ultimate.
Jacob Louis picks up his first assist of the night on that Mitchell score. Nearing the midway point in the second quarter. Feels like the offenses have stabilized a little bit, although Atlanta's still trying to find its rhythm. This is an offense that went with the young guys last week, particularly Richmond, who's gaining confidence every game. He was a practice player for you in the Atlanta club scene last year, in the sense is it's only a matter of time for him. As Sullivan shot, ill-advised, not on the same page with Wilson Holiday, and Cooper Williams was there defensively to usher it to the turf.
Yeah, so that pass where you can't hit the continuation, turn back to the middle, it's always going to be dangerous. There's defenders in there, there's other offensive players, and you have to really throw it very accurately and be on the same page with your receiver. So that, he would like that one back, I'm sure.
Timeout, Carolina. Clock stops with 5:39 to play in the first half.
When you call timeout, it's your chance to kind of refresh in, players get water, talk strategy. Players, but professional level, it's here in the
Carolina by 2. We're back on Friday night next week, and we've got a matchup of desperate teams. Chicago went undefeated last year, but they're 0-2 to start this season. The Indianapolis AlleyCats made more big-name, high-profile off-season signings than anybody in the league, and they are 0-2 as well. Now, both of those teams at 0-2 are tied for the last playoff spot in the Central Division. It's early, but next Friday night's game at Indy is going to be a huge game for one of those 2 teams to take a step toward the playoffs. On Saturday night, San Diego tries to perform better up against undefeated Oakland, lost by 10 last Sunday. And 2 weeks from yesterday, a game I've been looking forward to since the schedule came out. New York and Boston. And I have it on good authority, Miranda, that Don Desmarais will be active for New York in that game, barring any complications. We will get Don versus Toba for the first time ever in the UFA 13 days from now in Boston.
I think I might have to watch that one.
Everybody should be watching that one.
It's been an exciting time as the European influx of players has come to the United States. It feels like we're getting on par with some of the other professional leagues across sports fandom.
You can critique your friend Brian Jones's commentary from afar.
Always.
Break opportunity for Fairfax and the Flyers. Been a relatively quiet start to the night for Jacob Fairfax as he bolts across the front of the end zone, just shy of the goal line, and he picks up the assist into Grayson Sanner, or rather Cooper Williams. And a break for the Flyers to reestablish the 3-goal lead, matching the largest from the first quarter.
Yeah, I think the Flyers have to be very happy about that. I really like the matchup that I see on Elijah Long. The Hustle have Bradley Fleming out there on him. Bradley, one of the multiple Alabama influx players. He's a UAH player that drives over every weekend, and he is a phenomenal defender, somebody that whenever I can, I call him on the line to guard the other team's best handler. And Elijah Long is so incredibly crafty on offense that I think there are not a lot of people that can guard him. Bradley Fleming is going to try to be one of them tonight.
How would you assess Carolina's offense so far? No Alan Laviolette, no Kevin Pignoni, missing some other familiar faces as well, and yet they've got the 3-goal lead. Their defense is creating some issues for Atlanta, and Carolina's offense, since the couple points of sloppiness in the first, has been pretty pristine.
I think they're doing exactly what they need to do. They're getting their D-line back on the field with regularity, and I think that coming off of a loss, that's exactly what you need to do, is just be steady on offense and then really put the effort in on defense.
Excellent defense from Suraj Mataraju, preventing the swing to Hayden Austin Knabb, and there's a foul. Carl Eckwurzel gritting through the moment.
Carl is tough. It's nothing you wouldn't see in professional wrestling. So maybe it's just scripted.
In his self-described Schmedium jersey.
Yeah,
Taylor unable to squeeze it through for the bidding Eckwurzel. Another break chance here for Carolina. Atlanta into double-digit turnovers already.
I think you'll see the second timeout called by Coach Avila.
Yep.
That's a good one. Sometimes you just get a feeling that your team's going to struggle to score, and I was having that feeling right there too. And Coach Michael Avila agrees.
So Avila's in his second year coaching the Flyers. I know he learned a lot in year one. How many years did it take you as the head coach until you were confident in terms of when you should take the timeout?
So for me, I came from a basketball and basketball coaching background, and sometimes that meant coaching, middle school girls basketball where you got people just learning the skills, and the main goal of using your timeouts was to prevent people from traveling. And so I have sort of a knack for knowing or feeling when my team is about to make a turnover, and I was very proud to save many, many Hustle players from turnovers by calling timeouts. And I think that I don't know if Suraj Mataraju was going to make a turnover, but it felt like somebody might. And so Coach Avila did a great job there too.
Can you articulate what you're looking for, or is it just a feel thing? You know the players, you know what they're supposed to do, and you know what might happen based upon the exact circumstance of the moment?
Statistics in Ultimate are getting a lot better, and I find that the more stats that are kept, the more I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. But it is a feeling. Sometimes it's about how long you've had the disc in one player's hands. Sometimes it's how many passes have been thrown by your counterattack, but it's mostly just a vibe.
You could say Jacob Fairfax is also just a vibe. Doing his best for over a decade. Started 1 year with the Charlotte Express, and he is rising up the all-time charts as well. He is 6th in UFA history in goals. He's passed the aforementioned Matt Stevens and former Indy AlleyCat Rick Gross already this season. And he's been the assist man on these last couple of points. Back-to-back breaks after Flyers timeouts. And Carolina now has its largest lead of the night.
Yeah, I think, that trying to squeeze that inside pass to Carl Eckwurzel, who's not usually up in the handler set. Atlanta's just maybe trying to do a little bit too much. And then Carolina is just doing exactly what they would like to do. Fairfax, as a player who is so elite going deep, does get backed. Much like Atlanta's Brett Holzmeyer, they are open for under yards. And Fairfax doing a great job tonight, turning into a distributor and helping his team from that side of the disc.
He's in his 9th season now with the Flyers, who have the 4-goal lead. 2.5 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Christian Belis ready to defend, bouncing on the mark even before Ryan Flick picked it up. Austin Taylor starting downfield this point.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I coached Austin for a long time, and he is someone who's uniquely able to gain yards with his legs as well as with his throws. He's a wonderful athlete, well-trained, highly fit, and so that's something I like to do, or I like to see Austin do, but he is traditionally, for this hustle team, back in the handler set, so that was an interesting wrinkle to see.
And after about 40 seconds, he ends up back where he usually is, with Atlanta not able to gain positive yards, going backwards still in Callahan country here.
Yeah, Coach Poole must have read that they were having trouble getting it from the handlers to the cutters, and that's why they started Austin downfield. Too much contact from Olchesi on Austin Taylor there.
That was in the thick of the traffic in the middle of the field. Good to see Taylor moving around well. And here's Hayden Austin Nab. Already a minute 25 off the clock on this possession. Atlanta just now getting close toward midfield. Here's Richmond. And his throw into the hustle bench. Clock stops with 58 seconds left. Flyers are out of timeout, so this is a chance for the D-line to look to punch in another Carolina break.
I think you might like to hold the disc here.
Or you just take it a shot to the end zone, and it's Jake Thorne, who caught 35 goals for the Oakland Spiders just 2 years ago. He's the striker for the Flyers D-line, and it's another Carolina break, their third in a row to take a 10-5 lead.
I've been quite impressed with Angelo Olchesi's play this season and before. He is a very strong, aggressive defender. You see him providing contact on Austin Taylor's upline cut that is so powerful and so determined. Sometimes bumping a good player off their line is exactly what you need, and then to be able to turn around and hit that kind of high acuity pass on a turn is really, really useful for any D-line. This is looking bad for Atlanta, Evan.
It's been almost 8 minutes since the Hustle have scored. They only have one goal here in the second quarter, and they've got 45 seconds to try and slice into this deficit. Worst case scenario would be you turn it and fall behind by 6. I think Carolina with an opportunity to create a goal line stand and really make the Hustle feeling bad at the half. Hayden Austin Nab's shot looks pretty, but it's dropped in the end zone. There's pass interference though. Eckwurzel says, definitely I was pushed. Braden Morrison, oh yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's before the play or after the drop.
Still a foul.
Okay.
You disagree? Eckwurzel hammer Sillivant with his first UFA goal. University of Alabama Huntsville's Callahan nominee a couple years ago. So we saw Owen Stout get his first goal for the Flyers. Now Sillivant is in the all-time ledger for the Hustle. Let's go back to that Eckwurzel foul, Miranda.
So yeah, in my view, if a play happens and then there's contact afterwards, even though there's two hands in the back there, it looked to me more like it was like bracing himself from increased contact. This to me looks like a drop and then contact. We can ask Carl after the game if he thinks it really affected his ability to catch it. But you see some disagreement between the two players there, so at least we think it was close.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that the drop happened before the contact, but still that's contact, two hands in the back of a receiver who's presumably trying to go after the Frisbee. I think it's the right call. Anyway, Atlanta's first goal in 8 minutes and 21 seconds, and the Hustle take a timeout to try and prevent Jacob Fairfax from doing what he does.
That's right. I think with 20 seconds left, you're definitely going to see end of quarter protocol. I'm not sure if the Atlanta Hustle will try and pull it the length of the field or will roll it out for a double team or even just to roll it out, because it is quite hard to send those end of quarter shots from the sideline. So we'll see what they opt for to end this second quarter.
Of course, the guy launching the pull has been a pretty good buzzer beater, defender and goal scorer for the Hustle through the years. Dean Ramsey in the conversation with Fairfax and Jeff Babbitt for best buzzer beater guys in the entire league.
You know, it's great. Dean actually came to the Atlanta Hustle during the pandemic. He was living in Huntsville near Brett Hulsmeyer, and Brett was needing a practice buddy. And so Dean just sort of started showing up. We hadn't had him at tryouts. We didn't know who he was, and then he pulled, and we were like, we should take this guy.
And I've got a great new nickname for Dean Ramsey after learning what his side hustle was in Atlanta.
Yeah, he helps out as our nanny with our youngest son, and he is well loved.
Let's see if the nanny can get a block at the buzzer. With 2 seconds, Morrison's backhand to the end zone. Ramsey elevates, gets a piece of it, and then it's ushered out of bounds by Jeremy Langdon as time expires. Sinchins has taken a beating in this first half.
My son Shirley at home saying, "Go tall, Dean."
Well, Atlanta with at least a little positive momentum, Miranda. They get the final goal of the half, and they get a stop. We will see if they can cut into this deficit, but an uncharacteristic half for the Hustle offense indeed. They give Carolina 8 break opportunities, and the Flyers convert 6 of them. Meanwhile, Hustle's D-line has only created 1 break in 4 chances.
Yeah, I think if you're Atlanta, you don't like any of those numbers, actually. The 8, the 6, the 1, none of that is good. Let's
talk about it with Michael Avila, the head coach of the Flyers. Thanks for joining us, Mike. An interesting first half. First of all, the last point in the first quarter, what's going through your mind when the two teams play 500 back and forth there?
I honestly, you know, it's just going to be a battle between both of the teams. Not really thinking too much of it, to be honest. Just always, always good time and fun to watch. All
right, what has worked well for your team tonight with different players stepping in for guys who aren't here or unavailable?
A lot of them are just filling into their roles really well and just really sticking to the game plan. I think, there was a lot of great lessons that we took away from that first game with Atlanta, win or lose, and these were things that we were always going to apply into the second game and potentially into the third game. And I think, even with some of the, pieces missing, all the people stepping up are really committing to, what we're trying to do and how we're trying to dictate and allow Atlanta to, play offense and score.
Yeah, it must be really nice to have such a stable of players to be able to step in when you need them and playing, very much Carolina Ultimate out there. I'm wondering if you are going into this second half, this third quarter, actively making an adjustment, or if you're happy and you're just going to keep riding what you're doing for another quarter or two.
I mean, there's still going to be some things that we adjust going into the third quarter and the fourth quarter as well. Atlanta's a very, very good team, and even if they're not having all the pieces there, we're not going to take them lightly. We're going to be giving them the same level of intensity that we gave them in the first and the second quarter, and that also includes making sure that we are rotating through the different looks and adjustments that we want to be making throughout the game.
Coach, really appreciate your time. We'll let you get to the locker room. Thanks so much.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
That's Michael Avila, the head coach of the Flyers in his second season. Atlanta got the 1-goal win in double OT last week. Tonight, Carolina up 4 at the half. The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at DiscItGame.com. Just about 1 month into the 2026 UFA season, these are the 5 biggest Frisbee storylines heading into the summer. Number 1, the Oakland Spiders have been destroying everyone. With efficient offense, dominant defense, and a slew of rising stars, the Spiders began their season with 5 straight double-digit wins, an accomplishment never before seen in the UFA. Oakland will be tested with tough games against Minnesota and Salt Lake coming up in June and July, but the Spiders certainly have the look of a championship weekend contender. Number 2, let's not forget the reigning UFA champs. Boston looks exceptional once again, led by their young Belgian star Toba de Krana, who began the season with nearly flawless performances in his first couple of games. With his big brother Launder and the rest of New England's best, the Glory are striving to become the second team this decade to go back-to-back. Number 3, the South Division has 4 teams with legitimate championship weekend aspirations, but only 3 can even make the playoffs. Between Austin, Atlanta, Carolina, and San Diego, you've got a fierce quartet of competitors who week after week bring the best out of each other and deliver unbelievable drama for Frisbee fans everywhere. But time will tell which South squad will be watching from home when the postseason begins. Number 4, through the first month of the season, there have been a bunch of games that could immediately be called instant classics. In week 1, we saw Austin come from 2 goals down in overtime against Atlanta before miraculously winning in double OT in stunning fashion. Speaking of stunning, we saw another heart-stopping sequence in the first Mother's Day meeting between New York and DC, as the Breeze forced the late turnover and shocked New York by 1 in overtime. Of course, the Week 4 finish between Carolina and Atlanta might have been even more nuts. Hustle, tie it as time expires in the 4th, come from 2 goals down in overtime. And then, in double OT, Hayden Austin Nab comes up with the unreal layout point block to halt the Flyers' scoring opportunity, and then Austin Nab launches the perfect put. Kenny Taylor wins it for Atlanta, a monumental home victory for the Hustle. And number 5, let's not overlook the only team that's advanced to championship weekend each of the past 3 seasons. The Minnesota Wind Chill, again looking like premier contenders, with new additions Lucas Ambrose and Noah Kuhlman elevating the Chill to even higher levels. Minnesota's defense in particular continues to arguably be the best unit in the entire league. And the Wind Chill will be tested by 3 huge interdivisional showdowns against Oakland, Salt Lake, and Boston during the second half of the 2026 season. Overall, the UFA journey so far has given us so many astonishing moments, performances, and storylines. But there's still a long way to go on the road to championship weekend. Enjoy the ride. UFA regular season consists of 13 weeks. This is week 5. A lot of big games ahead for both these teams. Both these squads play really tough schedules when you think about the 4 meetings with each other, the games against Austin and San Diego. Both these squads also play the DC Breeze, who are currently battling New York on WatchUFA.tv right now. It's a 12-8 lead for the visiting New York Empire at halftime. So the Empire with 4 first-half breaks. Empire O-line only giving DC 1 break chance. They converted. But here, Carolina seizing control in that second quarter, Miranda. They outscored the Hustle 5-2 in the period, and they'll be on offense to start the third, looking to make it a 5-goal lead again.
Yeah, I think this is a really important opening point for Carolina. I think that, you know, if you come out here thinking you're up by a bunch, you're maybe going to falter. You might not take this moment as seriously as you ought to. But instead, as we heard from Coach Avila, if you take this and you're like, it's 0-0, we're going to start all over again and we have to win it all over again. That's more of the mindset you would like to be if you're Carolina Flyer right now.
Let's check in down on the sideline with the third member of our broadcast crew, Daniel Prentice. Daniel, what's your take from field level, what you've seen so far tonight?
Thanks, Evan. First quarter, we mentioned it, chaotic out there. Second quarter, a little bit more lopsided. Carolina got on top there, talked with Hustle head coach Tuba Benson Jaja coming out of the break. He said, we're good. We're good. We're only down 4. We should be down by 30. They left a window for us. So it doesn't seem like Atlanta is worried about that second quarter. See if they can clean it up in the second half.
All right, Dan, does that sound like Tuba to you, Miranda?
I was just about to say Coach Benson Jaja is relentlessly calm. He will be there for his players with an easy, steady voice and demeanor. I mean, until he isn't. Until someone does something wrong to one of his players.
I wonder if the referees of the
handle.
UFA agree with that. He's relentlessly calm.
Well, I think that is part of the persona and is part of what he cultivates is really this team-first attitude and mantra. You know, they read books together. They talk about things. They are hugging each other out in the warm-ups.
How did his Marine background impact the Hustle when he first joined the team?
Right, and if somebody wrongs his guy, it's over, right? Tuba has your back at all costs, and I think that his Marine background has benefited this team to no end. Whether that's in the preseason, doing the training camps, or getting his team to perform, it's been really excellent.
What a brilliant sequence, just how the Flyers drew it up to get it off the sideline and create the red zone opportunity. Carolina 5 for 5, make it 6 for 6 in the red zone tonight. And it's Nate Lyle's first goal of the evening.
So both you see the Atlanta team comes out with, I am calling it a fake double team. So you roll it out the sideline and teams have seen you double team out of that and then you don't, you just have person on. But really here the story is about Fairfax's sure hands, catches that upline pass so easily, even though that's a very hard catch. And then who else can just like put it into their hammer position so easily, so readily. Fairfax truly is something to behold out on the ultimate field.
He hasn't scored a goal tonight, but he's got 3 assists.
A couple hockey assists too, I imagine, making his impact known.
Austin Taylor, 3 throwaways in the first half. See if he can find his form. Only 2 assists so far for the league's leader over the past 5 years. This decade, Miranda, nobody in the UFA has more throwing yards, total yards, or huck completions than Austin Taylor. He's number 1 this decade in each of those categories.
That's extremely impressive. I can know what it feels like when he's on your team and that's happening.
Hayden Austin-Nab unable to connect with Knowles. It's another short field turn for Atlanta.
But it's another thing to hear those stats. That's truly amazing. And as you'll see here, he is an excellent defender, somebody that sometimes gets put on D-lines even to spark a great play.
Austin Taylor guarding the deep man, Jake Thorne, right now. Meanwhile, it's Will Coffin unmarked. This has a chance to get ugly if Carolina can start this second half with a break following up their quick goal. Owen Stout in his UFA debut got his first goal earlier. Resets for Coffin, who blades it to the end zone, and it's Andrew Ty bidding for the block, and a huge one for the Hustle.
I think that was a low throw, but Andrew Ty was perfectly positioned and such athleticism to make that play. That is so exciting for the young O-line player. Oh my goodness.
Carolina relentless defensively right now, and Matt Tucker sets up the Flyers on the goal line. Braden Morrison was a standout at D3 Nationals last weekend for Elon. Olchese doubled. Back to Morrison. Siraj Mataraju to Matt Tucker. Bookends for Tucker, and a 6-goal lead, bringing the smiles from the sidelines here in Carolina. Atlanta miscues, and despite some hustle from the Hustle, too much pressure from Carolina.
For sure, and you see some really interesting body language from both of these teams after this break. The Flyers looking and feeling so confident, celebrating with their teammates, and the Hustle, that body language that we didn't see last week when they just wouldn't give up, even when the Flyers were ahead, even when they were on the doorstep trying to score in double overtime, didn't see them hang their heads, and that looked like a really crushing blow. Carolina doubling the Atlanta Hustle's score. Can they come back?
I mean, it was 6-5 with 8:41 to go in the first half. And we have
there too.
We have seen 6-goal deficits overcome, but the Hustle need a spark. And right now, Flyers Callahan feels far more likely.
Yeah, putting your heels on the back of the end zone is not the spark you need. This is like, let's put it up to somebody and see if they can make a play time.
Oh, there's another turnover in the end zone. Belis picks up immediately over the top. Touchdown. Dylan Brewer, who had the Callahan last week, converts the quick score from Belis. Hustle might need a timeout.
They need something. I think, we're walking back out some more O-line guys. That was a bit of a combo line. So this is the natural O-line. Wilson Holiday obviously frustrated. And Brewer is elated. Where are we going to go with this? I mean, this is bad for all kinds of reasons, not just this game, but implications for point diff if there are ties and records and things like that later on. The Hustle at this point, I don't know if they can come back from this. I'm not sure they're going to be able to score enough goals in the rest of this game to catch up to 13, but they need to at least put some points on the board.
See if Austin Taylor can stabilize things here. He'll center to Sean Knoll, who quickly finds Hayden Austin Nab, who rips a forehand to a defended Grady Richmond. And Nate Lyle was there to just tap it down for the block.
And this feels bad. You've got O-line guys playing D points for the Flyers. I like that Hayden is taking that risk. He does need to add more risk-taking to his game, and we saw that last week to the great benefit of the Atlanta Hustle, but not to a covered player without steps.
Contact called, free 10 yards. I know they're going to call a pick downfield, excuse me. So that's going to send Suhas Mataraju back near the back line of his own end zone.
So a Callahan here for the Hustle could be the only thing that might spark this game back into contention. Okay,
well, not
close.
A Callahan, but it's an interception for Austin Taylor, and his hammer to Hayden Austin Nab. scores the Hustle's first goal of the half.
Okay, so this is something. And we love throws to Grady Richmond, our young phenom from Midtown High School. And we love it when Austin gets a block, okay? But is it too little too late? Only time will tell. But the best news for the Atlanta Hustle is that their D-line is back on the field, and they can at least put up a fight.
And look, there's a lot of time left. It wasn't too little too late when Carolina had the disc up by 2 with 2 minutes to go last week.
And I'll be the first to admit, stranger things have happened than a comeback from this amount of gravity.
17 times in the series history between these two, the game has been decided by 3 goals or fewer, including last week, obviously.
This is why I have so many gray hairs, Evan.
Why do I have all the gray hairs too? That's the question.
Perhaps because you care not only about this series, about this rivalry, but all of them.
Oh, tough catch by Sander. How solid has he been tonight? Right on cue. Nearly a turnover, but Elijah Long saves the day. Hawkins marked by Taylor to Fairfax. Ripping it, Terrence Mitchell, chased by Dean Ramsey. Neither has a chance to make the play.
So that's exactly what the Hustle would like to see, turning Fairfax into a thrower and putting it to a very good speed matchup. Mitchell and Ramsey very fast. And let's see what they can do on a turn here.
First break chance in a while for Lucas McClamrock in Atlanta.
Such an interesting piece, though. Atlanta's O-line has struggled so much. Normally you would consider taking a timeout here, but to get those guys back on the field may not be your top choice.
Bold hammer choice there from Jeremy Langdon. And we're not going to get a call. Steele Davies the intended target, but Trevor Lynch there defensively for Carolina. So an unfulfilled opportunity for the Hustle D. And now Carolina will try to be patient and punch in this hold with less than 6 minutes to play in the third.
You know, it is so hard to play as a D-line player, both trying to get the block and then turn it on to offense.
Sander accelerating in the end zone away from Dean Ramsey, the closest defender. Trevor Lynch with a nice floaty assist. And instead of Atlanta cutting it back to within 5, it's Flyers by 7 again.
Grayson Sander has just been extremely impressive. 2 really hard left-handed catches this game, and he's making an impact. His speed is so devastating, whether he's going deep or just coming under in the handler space. I've been really impressed with his development, and I know Alan Laviolette has too. You can see the mentorship coming from a seasoned veteran like Alan to the younger players, filling his shoes tonight, which are very large shoes to fill. And, you know, Carolina, you have to think that if they're up this much against a Hustle team without some really important pieces, like, the ceiling is high on their season, isn't it?
They certainly think so. And there are guys who haven't played for them yet who are currently starring at college nationals right now, from a North Carolina team that failed to make the bracket, but even more so from a top University of Colorado team. Guys like Tobias Brooks and Zeke Thorison. Carolina expecting Tobias to make his Flyers debut next weekend. Alec Wilson-Holiday in the end zone for the Hustle.
And to me, that is such a brave catch, going up strong with 2 hands, knowing that that coverage is coming. The Flyers defenders do a good job avoiding the contact, but that's a nice solid goal for Atlanta.
It's been a long time for the Flyers and the Raleigh Radiants here in Durham. And we want to thank him for all the work he does, but also make sure you check out all his work. So it's wellsportbodyworks.com. Again, that's wellsportbodyworks.
6-point game, 4:47 to play here in the third. The 11th season for both these programs that started in 2015. Today's the 150th game in Flyers history. They are 107-42 all time. Winning the championship, of course, in 2021. That was the highest point that the Flyers flew.
Doesn't get much higher than that.
Atlanta still chasing that coveted opportunity. Got the championship weekend last year for the first time. Miranda, your team in 2021 in particular was so close up in New York.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite seasons of Ultimate pretty much ever. The East Division was something to behold. And we played every good team there was. And we just had so much fun. It was a great way to come out of the pandemic. We played against Max Shepard on the Pittsburgh team that year. Wonderful comeback. It's time for him to make an impact on this side of the disc though now.
Terrence Mitchell got hand blocked by Steele Davies. Lucas McClamrock picks up for Atlanta. Taylor completes it for Davies, who shoots it. Crowley can't get there.
That's sort of been the story of the night for Atlanta, it seems.
Just been a little bit off over and over again.
Yes, and you know, Carolina is playing very, very well.
Looking deep for Mitchell again. He's got steps, and he will sky, but it's blocked from behind. What a play by Walter Ellard.
Wonderful play from the Rome, Georgia native, coming up big from behind.
I mean, Mitchell had so many steps, but he didn't go up and attack it early the way I expected him to, and Ellard made up the ground late.
He's coming back from ACL surgery after last season, and really, what a wonderful thing to see. Very happy for Walter. And you just see where Fairfax does not like getting broken, and you see that he can really put that pressure on the defensive side of the disc as well. Sometimes it ends in a little too much contact, as it did there. Sometimes it ends in some spectacular blocks.
That was the second career block for Ellard. He got his first in the season opener, but the hustle unable to capitalize again. Second throwaway of the point for Davies, the youngster out of Chattanooga. So third chance this point for Carolina's O-line to hold. And now Dylan Hawkins will hammer it to Jacob Fairfax, who's in the end zone for Carolina with 2 minutes to go in the third.
Was that his first goal of the game, Fairfax?
His first score of the night, first goal of the night. Has a number of assists and has certainly been involved. Dylan Hawkins, cool, calm, collected with the over-the-top hammer.
And I think you're seeing some of the weight of responsibility that has not been held before on these young Atlanta Hustle players who are either debuting this season or perhaps last season. It's a long game, and even if you start off really well and have great pressure on defense, sometimes the responsibility on the counterattack for young players, it can be a lot, especially when you're playing against the other team's O-line, who usually are the most seasoned and obviously excellent defenders in their own right.
Flyers by 7, in control against their rivals tonight after letting one slip away last week in the ATL. Flyers let it slip away, and Hayden Austin Knabb was ready to snatch it away. Austin Taylor bluffs the backhand.
You know, Austin has some of the most textbook throwing form you will ever see. His fakes look exactly like his throws. He's so powerful in his stature. They should put Austin's throwing form next to the definition for backhand and forehand in the dictionary.
Is that something he's always had since he joined the Hustle in 2016 when you were an assistant, or is that something he's developed over the course of the last 10 years?
I think he's always had this really wonderful base of his throwing, like his lower body is just premier. And it took him time to develop all these throws that are in his arsenal.
Oh, Carl Eckwurzel makes the catch through the contact. The foul's on Belis, the scores for the Hustle. And thankfully, Carl's okay.
Fantastic reception. You know, Carl is somewhat ambidextrous, so for a right-handed player, that would be impossible. But for an ambidextrous player who just throws every backhand, that is still a really excellent catch, but something Carl is more comfortable with than most.
I will say, they're going to call pass interference. I think Belis is making the argument that he threw his body into me.
I mean, Belis was in front of that play, and Carl Eckwurzel was behind, but I'm not sure that, to me, that might be a no call. You know, sometimes there's incidental contact, and you don't have to call it either way, but I can understand being upset, maybe a little. So the Atlanta Hustle will pull from very far up. I guess that was a 20-yard foul called on Belis.
Yeah.
So they'll pull from midfield, which I'm still not convinced is the right assessment for the, you know, increased danger that the referees read on a play like that. We'll see what Dean Ramsey can do with his pull to capitalize on it,
look,
though.
when the pull position changed a few years back, it dramatically increased the number of Callahans because it forced teams to start in the back line. Atlanta's eschewing that opportunity by just rolling it out on the sideline.
I think Atlanta is still really trying to win this game, so they're rolling it out because they want there to be a high-risk, high-reward situation, and so they don't see. That's why it's sort of bothersome to me that we're trying to have them pull from half field as the punishment there. But
do you think that's missing an opportunity to try to throw a high blade that bounces in the back corner and rolls out and forces Carolina to start from their own back line in Callahan country?
Unless you haven't practiced that, you know, if that's not in your defensive playbook, then that's not what you want to run to try and force your blocks.
I feel like that would have been the play there late in this quarter. Imagine you get a Callahan, you receive to start the fourth, you have a little momentum.
Well, perhaps as I transition to commentary, you can transition to coaching, Evan.
Yeah, I don't think the phone's going to ring too quick on that one. There's a hand block, but it's snagged back by Dylan Hawkins. Miranda-esque to the end zone it goes at the buzzer, and it's intercepted by Fleming off the deflection.
Great awareness by Trip Crowley to be, you know, almost on offense and almost scored on.
There's no greater ultimate highlight than Miranda getting foot blocked and then making a layout catch. I think it was at College Nationals, wasn't it?
Yes, it was against Colorado, and never in my wildest dreams did I wish to be known for getting foot blocked. But there it is. There it is.
The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. and Diskit. Round Net meets Ultimate. Diskit is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at diskitgame.com.
And catch it for the score.
It's amazing we have footage in color of your playing days,
Hey.
Miranda.
Hey,
This is the play, the foot block in the semi, in the UPA. And here's Dylan Hawkins
he studied my film.
getting hand blocked. I'll take that right back. What do you remember about that play?
You know, it didn't seem that remarkable in the moment.
It was insane in the moment.
You know, I liked hitting the ground, and I was not the world's best thrower, so it did seem sort of just part of the game at the time. But yeah, that's the highlight, huh? That's the one, getting foot blocked.
It's an
Okay.
unbelievable play. Obviously, you're the greatest player in your era. Callahan winner, national champion, World Games champion, World Games coaching champion.
Still can't complete a pass,
And
though.
it's a privilege to stand alongside you here in the UFA Friday night Frisbee on a Saturday.
Well, right back at you, Evan. It's super fun to be here. Hoping that maybe this is the next part of my career, now that I don't get to coach these ding-dongs quite as much.
The ding-dongs take the deep shot, and it's turned over. Good defense by Cooper Williams on Grady Richmond's shot intended for tie.
Yeah, you'd like to see the receiver get position and retain it with maybe a little box-out contact. Instead, lets the defender get in front.
See, that's something you could say that I can't get away with. I can't call these pro athletes ding-dongs the way you just did.
It's with so much love. They know that. They know that.
Timeout taken. Carolina in control, up 6. With Cooper Williams having another nice night defensively for the Flyers. Reminder, 7 o'clock next Friday night. I'll be alongside UFA champion Colin Camp in Indianapolis for the Union and the AlleyCats. Next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Huge game for the Growlers. And meanwhile, the Oakland Spiders, could they win their 6th in a row, all by double digits? That's something that's never been done before. No team has ever won 5 straight by double digits to start a season until the Spiders this year. They are playing at an exceptionally high level. And Friday, June 5th, mark your calendars now. Don versus Toba, and of course, there's a guy named Jeff Babbitt. He used to play for New York, and now he plays for Boston, and the stars are immense on both sides, and I'm so excited for that game. And the game the week after that, which is Minnesota at Oakland, an interdivisional battle. We'll see if the Bay Area squad's for real as the juggling grab made by Elijah Long. Ho-hum.
That's that matchup we were talking about earlier, though, Fleming versus Long. And I think you might see that one in the next 2 matchups of these teams because, oh, well, this one might be out of reach, especially with heads-up plays like that. These next 2 are going to be just as important.
We have seen Carolina a couple times tonight throw errant passes that were caught anyway. It's the kind of night it's been for them and the hustle. And what do we got? Contact call, offensive foul against Carolina.
Maybe a push-up against the mark. You know, the foul is almost always on the defense on the mark, but if you clear them out with your offhand, that is the time when it's an offensive foul.
Sander was the open man after the double team, and then wide open all by himself, William Coffin.
It's very nice end zone offense. You see the movement. Oh, here's that play where Fleming almost gets the block. Super heads up coming back to it. And this is a very wide field. You know, this is 53 1/3 yards wide.
Yep.
And, you know, some teams might say, like, you should really touch each sideline every time you're playing end zone offense. And we certainly saw the Flyers have it on the far sideline, and Grayson Sander almost chalks Will Coffin's heels with that beautiful bending forehand.
So you started coaching in this league as an assistant for Greg Swanson in 2015. Became the head coach a few years later before passing the baton to Tuba in 23, I believe. Did you coach in 22?
Yes, I did. I had my second child in 2022. Got to coach a really exciting regional final, and then had to have a baby during nationals. Got to have a baby during nationals.
So during your 7-8 years coaching in the UFA, what's the one thing that maybe you thought going into coaching professional that evolved over the course of that period? Like, what's the biggest correction to yourself that you made from the start of your coaching tenure to the end?
So I think that perhaps what I might be remembered for is zone defense. And I think when I first started coaching in the league, I worried that the field was too big for zone defense.
Austin Nab for Taylor, but it's denied by Cooper Williams, who's having himself a night. Another block for the young Carolina star.
But you see, even there, the field is just so big, and that not only allows for throwers to have more space, but it allows more time for defenders to make up ground. And so the further you throw, the longer the disc is in the air. And that might be why that block was just gotten, and that might be why Brett, Kelvin, and Dean got so many blocks in the backs of our zones. So that was something that I really realized over the course of my coaching career in the UFA.
That was nearly a block and nearly a Callahan, and it's still a completion for Carolina. Wasn't your zone defense called grits?
That was one of them. That. I don't know if I should give everything away, but that was.
This is your broadcasting career now, Miranda.
That was the inverted three-person cup.
It's a hand block on the goal line by Ryan Flick. Where have we seen that before?
It's great. It's great. But yeah, and then there was one year that East Division year, 2021, when DC had some really excellent throwers, Johnny Malks and Rowan McDonald, among others, that just destroyed our grits. And so we developed a 2-3-2.
Alec Wilson Holiday goes down. It's interference on Suhas Mataraju.
And that's the right call. You know, definitely contact going both directions, but that you have to give to the offense, having position as well.
Alec Wilson Holiday flips it for Andrew Ty. And Atlanta back within 6 with 6:57 to play.
Wilson Holiday has been a really fun addition to the Atlanta Ultimate scene starting last year. I think he's brought something very different for us for the Atlanta team on the O-line. Someone really dangerous going deep with speed rather than height, and somebody who also has really strong throws and can complete these passes in the end zone as he just did to Andrew Ty.
Well, if you're wondering what's different about tonight for Atlanta, sure, they're missing guys like Brett Holzmeyer and Adam Miller and Jakeem Polk and Will Selfridge.
Michael Poe.
Atlanta has a season-high 20 turnovers tonight. They haven't had a game with 20 turnovers since the 2023 season. Big block from Taylor, knocking it away from Fairfax. Langdon goes sliding for the heck of it. And now Lucas McClamrock picks up, working with Davies in the backfield as the Hustle are hunting. And that's the second Atlanta break of the night.
Only 2 breaks for Atlanta. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're only scoring a few O points. You just don't get as many chances. But that defense there, where they're trapped on the sideline, you get an offside block from Kenny Taylor. That's exactly what you wanted to see. It's just a few quarters too late.
So the last time Atlanta had 20 turnovers in a game, they still won the game against Houston 20-11. It's pretty incredible. The last time Atlanta had more than 20 turnovers in a game was an 18-16 win over the now defunct Tampa Bay Cannons, June 4th, 2022. A 2-goal win on a 26 turnover night in Florida. Do you remember that game?
I'm telling you, the gray hairs are real. I'm sure, you know, and it's a miracle that the Hustle won that game. But, you know, it does make things interesting to coach, especially from a defensive perspective when you're going to have so many turnovers.
Carolina opening the door here for a late Atlanta push. McClamrock trying to lead the way. It's great to see Lucas back on the field after the unfortunate collision in week 1 that ended in a suspension for Austin's Evan Switek. Lucas back on the field just a couple weeks later.
Collision is a nice way to put that.
Yes, it was a bad bid. And thankfully Lucas is all right.
And you know, this is kind of interesting. I think the Hustle is at least learning here. And, you know, while they may be out of this game, I think there's some confidence building and self-belief that you can grow in this moment.
Looking for Fleming up the line. A leaping catch. Did he land in the end zone? No, but a foul was called. Now they're signaling score. One referee signaling goal.
So is that the end zone version of a force-out foul?
Need to see the replay here. It was an incredible leap from Bradley Fleming.
And Fleming, a left-handed player, I think goes up and gets this with his right hand. With old Chelsea and Chase.
I thought he landed his first foot shy of the goal line, but the officials rule otherwise.
I'm sure the Hustle will take that both for the goal and for the time that they don't have to spend trying to score that goal. Because if you're counting, it's within 4.
Yeah, 3-0 run here from Atlanta over the last few minutes.
You see Austin Taylor here on defense. Carolina with a bit of a mixed line. Things are still interesting here. Anything can happen. And Atlanta's going to keep rolling it out of bounds and putting the pressure on from there. Carolina really struggling to get it off the sideline.
Austin Taylor out there on defense for Atlanta.
And I can't.
Lynch resets, gets it to the middle of the field. Now Carolina will try to be patient. Taylor colliding with Belis.
And there's definitely a lot of mist on the field. I'm not sure if it's raining, but it sure looks damp out there.
Big chunk play from Lynch to Williams. Cross field, shy of the end zone for Coffin. Back to Lynch. And there's Williams. That might be the knockout punch with 4:12 to go.
Yeah, I remember thinking that when Carolina had 13, I wasn't sure if Atlanta would get 13 goals total in this game. And I think they will now. They've done quite well in this quarter, but I don't think they're going to get 17. Lynch has been such a stabilizing presence for this team for a really long time. It's no accident he was the one with the trust to have the disc in his hands there. Not in a must-score situation, but kind of to stop the bleeding and make sure that Carolina gets their feet back under them. Lynch makes that very calm play right outside the end zone. He's a person who's able to play with a lot of fire and still play with confidence and assuredness. So our sideline reporter, Daniel Prentice, has told us it's not rain, but it is mist and fog. And that is definitely a thing that can impact a game, especially on turf fields like this. So we might be seeing an impact of that on the players' footing and, of course, their catches.
Austin Sol atop the South Division right now, presented by Delta. Austin will host Seattle next weekend in an interesting interdivisional game. Meanwhile, Carolina will play a familiar foe next Saturday as they head back to the Peach State to face the Hustle next Saturday night at Silverback Stadium.
Yeah, Atlanta have famously strong crowds. And so they'll definitely have to come out for that to get the Hustle back on track for this season. This is not the way the Hustle would hope this game had gone tonight.
Well, look, just like, you know, games in the Western Conference Finals, every game feels different. You can have the Spurs jumping out to a 15-0 lead and then losing by 15 points. Game one, Wembanyama unbelievable in double OT. It's like things change, and Hayden Austin Knabb compared this Hustle Flyer stretch to an NBA playoff series when they play 3 straight Saturday nights. Game 3 next week could be completely different, and expect it to be as Tobias Brooks makes his Flyers debut. Atlanta gets Holzmeyer and Miller back, presumably, perhaps Will Selfridge as well. So the plot will thicken next week. This is a bewildering box score with 2:43 to go, because Atlanta hasn't had over 20 turnovers a game in either of the last 3 UFA seasons, 23, 24, and 25. 3.5 seasons, including this year, without a turnover, without over 20 until tonight. Carolina hadn't been flawless, but they have been superior this evening.
That's right. I'm trying to think about the mental game from this point forward. You know, who can respond from all these turnovers? I mean, neither team is comfortable with the number on that screen. 17 and 21 are both way too many in this league. So we'll have to see what happens next week.
Beautiful breakthrough by Hawkins. Holy cow, that was pretty.
Carolina, after they go to Atlanta next week, they'll travel to DC and Pittsburgh on the first weekend of June. That's part of a Friday night, June 5th, that is going to be unforgettable, with New York and DC, with New York and Boston, I should say, DC and Atlanta. Just 2 of the 5 rivalry games to start that rivalry weekend.
Double team again. 2 minutes remaining in the game.
Under 2 minutes now, and Carolina could be content to call game and just bleed clock the rest of the way with a 5-goal lead.
That is certainly a thing they're very good at. I remember being at this field and watching them burn 5 minutes off of the clock.
Deep shot, big collision, Fairfax colliding.
I think that's McClamrock.
He is in the midst of these a bunch. Ouch.
Happy to see Lucas standing up, walking off with his own volition. It's a really nice block, and we'll hope he's okay. Of course, this is not the game to push it. We won't see McClamrock back on the field tonight.
Was called a foul on Fairfax.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a very tough call to make. I'm not sure which player initiated that contact, though it certainly was there.
Yeah, I mean, Fairfax, I think, went into McClamrock's space, even though he was the offensive player trying to make a play. And hopefully Lucas will be all right for next Saturday night.
Yeah, especially when the full squad is there, Lucas can take really interesting matchups and make their lives really bad on that Saturday night. McClamrock also somebody who can very readily guard above his height. He's somebody that gets put on big receivers like Rafi Hayes. And tonight on Fairfax, can make big plays. So a little too close to the back of the end zone. Crowley trying to make that play and toe the line. Doesn't quite happen. Hawkins gets hand blocked again, but doesn't have the opportunity to catch it this time.
Fairfax with a block.
Do you think they're padding the turnover stats this game? Is that what's going on here?
Not intentionally.
Are they trolling us? I'm confused. It's too many.
Back to Morrison. Too long.
Most turnovers between these two teams in a matchup in quite some time, and yet Carolina is going to be content at the end of the night. Fairfax adds to his stats. The dish to Morrison with 12 seconds to go. Fourth assist of the evening for Jacob Fairfax.
Tons of effort from these teams. You know, you can't be sad about how many times the D-lines have gotten the disc, right? Either way, you can't be bummed about that. But the conversion rates, the number of clean holds tonight is, you know, frankly abysmal from a coach's perspective. They might be running lines at the next practice, if you know what I mean.
6-point lead with 12 seconds to play. Carolina's going to improve to 4-1, and Atlanta's going to dip to 3-3. And next week's home game becomes basically a must-win for this Hustle team. They do not have the tiebreaker with the Growlers. They've already lost once to the Austin Soul, and after tonight they'll be 1-1 against Carolina. A daunting schedule has done the Hustle well in the past, but considering the current circumstances, they are in dire straits in the 4-team South Division race. There's still 2 seconds left. And that'll do it. Drew Swanson doesn't need to throw. The Flyers, 1 week after devastation in Atlanta, get some sweet revenge here in Durham. 18-12. Happy Saturday for Carolina as they get to 4-1 on the season.
Yeah, and they really come out on top of this rather ugly slugfest here. There's something my dad used to say when my basketball teams would lose by some margin like this. You know, you're not sad. If you're Atlanta, you're not sad about the 18, but you're quite sad about the 12. You know, thinking about historical stats, I would be interested to know when the last time the Atlanta Hustle scored only 12 goals. In the South Division, we play in the heat. We don't usually play in that much weather, and so across the league, when you're scoring 12 or below, you think it's probably really big differential between the two teams or bad weather. We didn't expect this to be either of those situations tonight.
43 total turnovers between the two teams combined. Two teams that typically finish in single digits in that department. Carolina, one more turnover than goals scored, but they still win comfortably on their home field. We'll talk with a player of the game next.
The read. Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team.
Are you believing what you're seeing? My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt?
Holy smoke!
Post-game cookies are a tradition here at Carolina, and I've had them before. They are delicious. Flyers win tonight 18-12 over Atlanta. And our Delta difference maker, the player of the game, is Carolina veteran Trevor Lynch. Trevor joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Trevor. Your first game on the field since the opener in San Diego, and you switch on to offense, filling in for some absent guys. This wasn't the prettiest game, obviously. There were 10 more turnovers tonight for the two teams combined than y'all had in the double overtime game last week, and yet you walk out of here with a 6-goal win. What was the story of the night in your mind?
Yeah, the story was our defense. Plenty of stuff to clean up for our O on both sides of the ball, but, man, the defensive pressure was really sinking their teeth in tonight. Proud of the guys.
Were there any particular players that you were really excited about tonight that had maybe breakout games or plays that got a chance tonight because of the open spots on the roster?
I mean, the list goes on and on. Owen Stout, his first game, he was applying tons of great pressure. Matt Tucker, a bunch of clutch blocks. Cooper is making his case for Defensive Player of the Year. He's a machine out there. Great games from Jello and Will ushering the D-line as well.
I know you talk about the defense, but your offense really adapted well. You're only broken once in the first 3 quarters. Without Alan Laviolette, without Kevin Pignoni, without a bunch of guys who are going to be key players for you down the stretch, how did your offense find its confidence and poise tonight?
We got a bunch of guys that want to win with their legs. All the new guys that are slotting in, Nate and Jacob Louie, like those guys are just happy to do their job out there. So really proud of those guys and the work that they put in. And yeah, division's got to be worried once we get our boys back.
They might be worried already.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering too, like for you being such a versatile player, where do you prefer to play? Do you prefer to play, you know, downfield, behind the disc, on the O-line, on the D-line? Do you have a preference, or it's just kind of anyone, anywhere, anytime?
I'd like to just be a good soldier out there. Wherever coach tells me to be, I'm going to put my heart into it. D or O, I'm just trying to facilitate my teammates getting better and playing with their hearts out and winning with their legs.
Trevor, what was the balance between the pain that y'all felt after last week's loss with the confidence that you gained in that game over the course of the positives?
I mean, we're a pretty resilient group. I think it was easy for a lot of guys to come out of last week's game feeling like it all fell on their shoulders. But the reality is we had tons of opportunities to win, and anybody could have, completed the one pass that turned the L into a W. That being said, like, it's a resilient group. We're so deep. We're not going to have the same line week to week, but the guys that step up are ready to play, and they're seasoned. So proud to be a part of the group.
The last time you were teammates in a Flyers game with Tobias Brooks was the championship game 2 years ago. My understanding is you get to be teammates with him again next Saturday night in Atlanta. He might win a national championship between now and then. Who knows? What will it be like adding him back into the Carolina fold?
Seamless, if I had to guess. That guy's just super talented, super poised. I hope he's not watching this and he's getting some sleep. Hope he brings home a championship. Good luck to him and Zeke.
All right, Trevor, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us. Congrats on the win tonight. Good luck next week down in Atlanta.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
That's our Delta difference maker. I can confirm, Miranda, tonight is the fewest goals in a full 4-quarter game in Atlanta Hustle history. They had 14 goals a number of times in the past, but never before tonight had they scored less than 14 in a game that went the full 4 quarters. So I think Trevor was right. The story was the defense.
For sure. And some combination of the Carolina defense and the Atlanta offense, that is the story. And I think if you're Carolina defense or you're the defensive coordinator, you are really happy with this performance, and you want to go back and watch this film and learn how to replicate it and see exactly where and when the pressure came and how Atlanta couldn't respond, because there are things that will work in any game, right? No matter what the roster is. And some of this defensive pressure, both physical pressure and mental pressure, because they're bearing down on these Atlanta players, and Atlanta buckled under that pressure tonight. So that's something they'll definitely want to continue moving forward.
Strange night in a lot of ways, because Atlanta, 40% offensive conversion rate, 8 for 20. They go 3 for 11 on their hucks, and yet they win by a real comfortable 6-goal margin, and they are 2 games clear of the Hustle in the loss column, firmly in second place. Carolina hasn't gotten a shot at Austin yet this year. They will play in the final game of the regular season on July 10th, the only meeting of the year between Carolina and Atlanta. Next week, we head to the Central Division on Friday night.
Week 6 beckons in the Central Division, but Chicago and Indy are still hunting their first wins of the season. After all the offseason buzz, can the AlleyCats finally transform the hype into a regular season result? Or will the Union get the last laugh and keep the Cats winless?
Two teams that have vision of being in the playoffs and competing for a spot at championship weekend, Miranda, and yet both are 0-2. Of course, we saw the Carolina Flyers start 0-2 and win a championship 5 years ago, so it's not unprecedented. What are your thoughts from afar as you think about 2 0 teams colliding next week?
I mean, it's a long season, and every game really does matter. And I think for those 2 teams, they'll be bringing their A game, and I can't wait to watch it on Friday Night Frisbee.
Back on Friday next week, where we belong. Look forward to being alongside Colin Camp in Indianapolis for the Union and the AlleyCats. What a joy to work alongside the great Miranda Roth Knowles tonight. We did not get a double OT thriller, but we got some history. Lowest scoring game in Hustle history. They're probably going to blame you.
I was wondering if I was the problem.
I think you can say, as the broadcaster, that you had no control and put the onus on their shoulders. That's what you should do. For Miranda Knowles, Daniel Prentice, and our entire crew, I'm Evan Lepler saying good night from Durham. Flyers winning 18-12 here on Friday Night Frisbee. We'll see you next week in Indy. Good night, everybody.